This is the first tutorial in our new BricksMembers tutorial series, where I will not only show you individual features of BricksMembers, but instead I will show you step by step how to turn a pretty simple blog into a full-blown membership and community site using Bricks Builder and BricksMembers. And in this specific video, in the first one now, we will turn a simple blog into a relatively simple membership site where you can gate content so that users either have to sign up for free to see certain content on your blog or also have to pay to be able to view it. We'll go a bit deeper here. We'll also set up payments. I will show you two methods on how you can set up payments in BricksMembers. Is the third one, but that's a bit more complicated, so we'll save that for future videos. And we'll also set up simple email automations so that you have actual control about how the emails that your users get look like. I will of course not show you how to style everything in Bricks Builder. I assume you know that already. But after watching this tutorial, you will know 100% how to customize everything exactly the way you like, because there are literally no limits. So let's get right into it. This is the blog, Lightroom, super creative name. It's just an example. So basically what we have here is the blog. And you see we have two different categories here. We have field notes and we have tutorials. Now, let's say you have such a blog and you want to either sell access to tutorials, or you maybe want to collect email addresses by getting the content behind a free sign-up form. Both is totally possible here. And the plugin that we're using when we go to the backend here is BricksMembers. If you're not familiar with BricksMembers yet, this is a membership, LMS, and also very soon community plugin specifically for Bricks Builder, because what I want you to be able to do with this plugin is to create your membership sites in exactly the way you want. Like, you should literally be able to control the full layout, control the full design, literally everything. And this is exactly what we do. There's no better integration for a Bricks Builder when it comes to membership, LMS, and very soon also community sites. Of course, there are some alternatives. Some of them are also free, but they usually involve custom coding. They involve multiple plugins, so you have to stack quite a bit, while BricksMembers actually does pretty much all you need out of the box. Then with other solutions, you're oftentimes very limited when it comes to connecting payment providers. BricksMembers connects with virtually every payment provider out there. We are Webhooks. We literally have 3 ways to connect payment providers. You can set up email automations, and you generally have a lot of fine control about when it comes to who can access what part of your website. So I would say let's get straight into it. I've just activated BricksMembers here. So let's click on settings. And now at first you can see here already that the logo now says Atomic Members and not BricksMembers anymore. This is because over a period of time we will change our name to Automatic Members, because I also plan to integrate BricksMembers with Edge in the future, and there will be more plugins that are designed to essentially create websites atomically, where usually you would have to have some elements that you can only style so much and stuff. I think if I would call all those plugins Bricks something, it would sound a bit like I would own the name Bricks, which I don't. I'm not affiliated with Bricks Builder in any way. I'm just building a plugin, or in future more plugins for it. And that's why I think it's better to take that time now and step away from that name and call it Atomic instead of that. So don't wonder, from version 1.4.0 on, you will see Atomic Members here. And by the way, for existing users, nothing changes. Literally, all your subscriptions, all your licenses, everything will keep working like it does now. It's really just a name change. Everything else stays the same. Anyway, enough for that. Let's get back into the actual tutorial. So essentially what we will do now at first is to create user levels and assign them to content, to gate that content behind those user levels, so that only users that have a certain user level will be able to access that content in Bricks Builder, and we can gate that there via conditional logic, etc. And of course we will also automate that so that in the future, if you create new posts or new tutorials, then these user levels will automatically be assigned. So at first, we're starting here on the user levels page. And there you directly find the button, create your first user level. So let's click that. And there you simply fill it out with maybe free member for free sign-ups if you don't want to charge for it. And the rest here, you can leave all as it is. Like, there are some options here, but we don't need them for now. So click Save Level. So you see now free member, it's created. And now I directly create another one, premium member. Also, you don't need to fill out anything here. Click Save Level. And we can directly stay on that user levels page because we also have those tabs here, users, posts, and terms. And now I directly want to gate the tutorial posts. These are essentially categories. So I go to all terms here, and then I can select category tutorials. Click that. And now we see here, these are our 5 tutorials. So I select them all, then I can select the user level. Let's gate them for now with free member. So we'll do free member first, apply levels. And now you can see here that all of them are gated via free member. So super easy, but for now it would not work at all. Like still every user could actually access that content because we have to set that up which user can actually see later in Bricks Builder. But before I do that, I also want to set up a bit more here because I want to automate that. So I click on level automation. Then I click on create rule. And here under create rule now, I can select that free member user level. And now I can automatically assign that user level whenever a new post of a certain type within a certain category or also a taxonomy or so is created. So here now I select post type post, and then it says limit posts to terms. So I set category, and then I select category tutorials. Okay, and that's all you have to set up here. So I click on save rule, and that's it. So now whenever I add a new post in WordPress, and doesn't matter if I edit in Bricks or block editor, and I select categories tutorials here, give it a title, of course, test, publish. There you see it's also free member because I set that up in the post screen before. Now, by the way, when I go back to BricksMembers on the user levels page here, I can also click on users and can batch assign those levels to users. So if you already have existing users like my own now, I can also just give me that user level now, and then I have access to that content later. It's important actually before you set that up, at least for your admin user, because you want to see what you're doing there later in the front end, right? So that was quick, and that was actually all you have to do in the beginning in the back end to set everything up here, because now we can directly go into the Bricks Builder front end or in the editor. So let's click on Bricks templates here. I have like if we're looking at those tutorial posts, and this is a single post template. And now what I want to do is I want that a normal user that is not logged in, that is not signed up or so, only sees the very beginning here. And then I want to show him a little box that tells him, hey, this content is protected, you have to pay or something like that. So I go into that Lightroom single post template here, edit with bricks. And now you see here we have that post content field. And this is actually a native Bricks Builder now what we're doing. So I'm adding a simple text element, basic text. And here I will use the dynamic tag post content, double point format, double point, no, it's like the number of words. Let's maybe go for 50 words here. Now in the preview, I can already see that I find it a bit too short. I want to show more. So let's maybe show 100 words. And now I want to go into conditional logic here in Bricks Builder. And that's where BricksMembers is so powerful, because now BricksMembers gives us this here, BRM access and levels, and matches required levels. So click on that is no, because here I want users to see that don't have access. So this will only be shown if it does not match our required levels. I could also set no plus empty. So in case there's no match, but there are also no levels or so, then it will also show up. This is the safer version here. And after that, I click on the post content element, and there I will also set a conditional logic, which is matches required levels is yes, and not empty to be safe. So now the post content will only be shown to users that have that user level that we set before. You remember when we go back here, you remember here under user levels, posts, the free member level, because then the free member level is assigned to that post. My user also has free member, And that means that I have access to that content now. So let's save that here. So if I actually open now one of those posts, you can see that now I can see all the content here. But let's say I now go to my own user and I unselect the free member access level and I try to access that again. Then you see it cuts off here because I don't have access. So in that case, it only shows me that basic text thing here, what we set up before. And what's also important is that this is not in the DOM. Like the page content is not in the DOM at all. That is important because otherwise some tech-savvy users might look up in your DOM and find all the content, which they shouldn't access, right? Now, of course, it doesn't look good here. I want to have a nice fade effect to the bottom and then also a call to action. So let's do that now. At first, I want to ensure that the styling here matches. So I have my class here for the content, which is called pros. So let's use that class. And now I want this specific text element here to fade out towards the bottom. So we're just going to custom CSS here and insert our custom CSS. So adjusted it a bit until it looks good. So we have that fade effect here now, awesome. And now I will add another block and there I want to have the call to action in there. So a block and maybe some basic text, a button, and yeah, let's also give it a heading on top, of course, H2. Let's name it friendly, continue reading to sound less salesy. To support my blog, please subscribe to read the rest of this article. It's probably not the best copywriting. So I would say that looks good. Let's now create another page here. We'll call this page free sign up, publish it directly and edit it. Oh, let's edit that in BricksBuilder. I will just copy the content from another page to speed things up here. Oh, let's just paste that. Okay, can of course remove the whole block section. And now the important part. We need the Bricks form element. It's also something you see like with BricksMembers, we're not trying to add stuff that doesn't have to be added. We're trying to integrate as natively with BricksBuilder as possible to keep everything lean. So instead of adding our own form element, we're just adding actions to the BricksBuilder form element. So here we don't need the message field, but we need a passport field, of course, a password field, of course. So that one, label, password. And very important, email has to be required and of course password as well. Could of course make that better with inserting password twice and stuff, but simple form like that here will work. And now under actions, I will remove email because we will handle that later with BricksMembers. So let's remove it. And now what you need is, at first you need user registration because this form should register the user. And then we are adding assign BRM user levels here under actions as well. Now you have to set that up. So user registration here from native Bricks. Email field is the email field. Password field is a password field. Field username is name. Yeah, you could of course add another field now to add username. It's up to you, but I will just leave it for the tutorial here like that. And now that is important here. Now you can just use role subscriber. It will totally work, but I personally prefer to separate things a bit. So here under BricksMembers, you can also go to roles and permissions. And here you have natively built-in user role control from WordPress user roles. So I want to create a new role here. Let's just call it student because we will expand that page later anyway. Create role. And now if you want to, you can even click on edit caps and tell it exactly which role is allowed to do here, including WordPress core capabilities. It's all available here, but we don't need that. Here is already enough. What I also want to set up here though is admin logout. So now when that is activated, users with this user role won't ever see the WordPress top bar or the left sidebar menu or so. This will all be blended out. Actually, just to be safe, I also want to blend that out for subscribers. And now I go back into that free sign up, reload the page, and in the form now, again under actions, user registration, I can now select student, then I have it a bit separated. Again, you could totally use subscriber here. I just prefer to do it like that. You can also select if you want to automatically log in the user or not, but I would also select here send WordPress notification. Now we can customize that later, but it's important to have that here so that all the correct data is in there. There's also another way in BricksMembers to do it like directly via a hook, but this here just keeps things simple. You could also add spam protection, but we don't do that now. And then you find this one here, BRM user levels, and there you simply select the level that you want to assign automatically when the user signs up. So here I just select free member and then I save. And now I see a little issue. I made a mistake because in that single post template here, I set the condition to match the required levels, but in that case, this actually does not make sense because that only works when the user is logged in. I'm used to building course websites. That's why I make this mistake, because on a course website, you're always logged in. What you want to do here is you want to select user login is logged out. Of course, that also means that you could only show the post content here if the user is logged in. That would also work, but then you don't have all the payments connection. So, but in that case, it would totally work too. Just like if, let's say, you want to separate free content now, for example, from paid content and stuff, then you would need user levels again. But yeah, for a very simple setup, you could also just select here, user login is logged in. That would also work. But whenever your site becomes a bit more complex, then this is how you want to do it with matched required levels. And one more thing is missing, of course. I also have to direct that button to the free sign up page. Okay, maybe open a new tab. Okay, there we are on the sign up page. So let's fill out the form. John, of course. Then email. Let's just do hello@pascalbasel.com. My other one. Password. Send. And now when I go back into the backend here and I see users, then we see John is signed up. And when I click on him, I can also see free member user level is automatically assigned. You can, by the way, also see that here directly under user levels. Of course, what's missing now is the login page. You could use a standard WordPress login, but you know, like it's not really nice. So let's duplicate the free sign up page. Got the copy here, call it login. Add it with Bricks and change the form up to email and password. Remove the BricksMembers and the user registration action. Give it user login. Cool. User login. Email. Field password. Remember me. We don't have that. Let's add a checkbox here. So got the remember me. Perfect. Save. Let's also add that to the menu. Login, okay. And now if I go to where I'm signed out again, I have the login page, hello@pascalbasel.com and send. So now I'm logged in, and there's one more thing I forgot, of course. That is, again, a single post template. That, of course, our box here also has to get conditional logic. You could just hide it for users now that are logged in. I will also just use user logged in is logged out now. And done. So then it's not visible anymore. We're just seeing the post content. So now we have that free sign up flow working. It's very basic. Yes, we'll enhance it later a bit. But as you can see now, that's perfect. User logs in. He got the required level already and all the content shows up. But now let's also go into premium user. Let's actually add some payments here. And in BricksMembers, we essentially have 3 ways to add payments. That's at first via incoming webhooks. It's like most payment providers out there deliver webhooks or allow you to deliver webhooks to everywhere in the internet essentially. And now what happens there is that essentially based on the webhook, BricksMembers can recognize if someone purchased a product or so, and then it automatically assigns the right user levels. It can also do other actions like enrollments and stuff, but that's more for like course sites. And that works both with single purchases, but also with subscriptions. And then the second way is to have native on-site integrations with plugins such as WooCommerce, FluentCart, and SureCart. And that is super easy because it all happens on the same site. It's like directly when someone purchases a product, BricksMembers automatically recognizes that and assigns the right user level. Of course, after setting that up, I'll also show you how that works. And the third way of handling payments is where you can connect Stripe, PayPal, or Square. And that works via native checkout in BricksMembers, where you can atomically create your own checkout experience. That's pretty cool, but that will not be part of this video because that's a bit more in-depth, and it really only makes sense to set that up for like bigger course sites or when you make a lot of money with your blog already. And by the way, also with incoming webhooks, we have a Stripe mode there. So if you don't want to have this full checkout experience, you can also just use Stripe with our incoming webhooks. So now the first thing I want to do when it comes to payments is to assign our premium user level to some content. So I go to user levels here, and then I go to posts, and I filter again by all terms tutorials. And now maybe there are certain tutorials that I want to have as premium content. Again, you could also automate that later via categories or tags. Like now, for example, I could also give such posts that are for premium users the tag premium, and then I could create a rule that all posts that are being tagged with a premium automatically get that premium user level. I think you know how that works already. I showed you before in category how that works. So it's exactly the same way with our level automation rules here. So I won't set up that now, but I of course will remove the free member level here now from, let's say, the first two. And I will just add another user level here. Let's add premium level and premium level. So now what we have here is that we have these first two tutorials. There you have to have the access level premium member and then free member for the other ones. That's pretty cool because then you can have even free tutorials on your blog and also paid tutorials. And so this is actually all you need to set up here. And now we're getting directly into the payments. And the first integration or way to integrate I want to show you is via native on-site integrations such as FluentCart, WooCommerce, etc. So I will turn FluentCart on here. Like the way how it works is always exactly the same. You just map like the products or variations to user levels, and then they are automatically applied. So FluentCart is active. Then I have to go back to BricksMembers, and here on the integrations, you see now that it automatically shows us FluentCart, and it's grayed out. You also see that all the other integrations that we have here, the direct integrations, are orange because they are not available. Like the plugin automatically detects what other plugins are installed on the website and what not. So you can only activate here everything that would actually work. So it's actually quite safe. So I just enable that. It asks me or gives me a little warning because now it generates some database tables. Okay. FluentCart is enabled. And now I can directly go to FluentCart here on top. And now you see here that I can generate mappings. And so of course I'm prepared here. So when we go to FluentCart and products, you see that I already have a product created. And when you click on that, price is $19. It's a subscription per month. And so now I want to map this product in BricksMembers to the correct user levels. So I click on Add Mapping here. And then I select the source item, Lightroom Premium Access, simple, mapped levels, premium member. Then you can also select some others here, create WordPress users for guest checkout orders. You definitely want that here because obviously you need a user. And then default user role for new users, student, like we already had before with a free sign up. I want them to have the user role. But if you want to, you could also now create another user role here for premium members. Let's actually do that. Why not? So let's get in here, create user role. we have to fill that out first. Premium member. Let's write that uppercase. Okay, create row. Cool. And now I can select premium member here and also remove levels when order is fully refunded. Of course, I want that. I did not save my settings before. Should always do that, of course. Oh, also got rid of the mapping. Yep. So always click the save button before. Common sense, right? And remove levels when order is canceled. In that case, I don't want that because a canceled order doesn't necessarily mean that you got a refund. So I want to wait until it gets refunded, but it depends. Like if you want to have it removed on cancellation, you can do that directly. And then you also have subscription revoke rules. Choose when FluentCart subscription should remove mapped levels. Remove levels when subscription expires, or also remove levels when subscription is cancelled. That is very important to always differentiate between cancelled and expired on subscriptions, because when a subscription is cancelled, the user might still have some days left, or maybe even weeks or months. And if you cancel the subscription indirectly, or like you unsubscribe him here completely, that he can't access the page or his content anymore, he might get angry. That's why in most cases, you want to click expires here. That's really important to differentiate here. So it's all set up. That's everything. And now we can actually test that too. And now let's go to the product page in the front end here. So you see $19 per month, start your subscription. It's all like from FluentCart now, integrated into BricksBuilder. And everything is here filled out already because I'm logged in. But well, we have to fill out some stuff here. So let's give him something. Let's see, it's just a demo payment anyway. State is required. Okay, cool. So now we got the receipt here, and important, it says payment pending because only a demo payment. So I have to go to FluentCart first here in the back end. And there we should have orders. Yep, there's the order and status on hold. That's why, like, if you now go to users here, you see that the user level, the premium level, has not been applied. This is because status is on hold, the payment is not through. So what I have to do now here on the order, of course, is to mark order as paid, payment, demo payment, mark paid. Okay, so now I think we should also see that here. Yeah, purchase successful. And now under users, we see free member and premium member. So it worked. Now the premium member user level is being applied. And we can see that now. Let's say I remove the free member level now here, update user. Now if we go on that post, you see that he does not see any post content at all because he does not have the free level anymore. And this post requires the free level. And this is also an important aspect here. I did that now to show you that it actually works with different user levels, that you can only see certain content then. But what's important to prevent issues like that is that, of course, you add multiple user levels to the same content. So here, for example, I could now select those 3 posts here, select the premium member user level and apply that too. And now the premium member level here is the user level that gives the user basically access to everything. So it can just make sense to simply apply it to every new post. So I will just go to level automation, click create new rule, premium member, post types post. And I don't select anything else here, just save rule. And now you see here, premium member, post type post. So whenever I create a new post, that user level is directly assigned. So here, for example, when I click add post, I can directly scroll down and the premium member user level is assigned here. So premium users always get access to content. That's how you set up something like that. Of course, you could also now create rules per category again, like we did with the free level. But for what? Like it's simpler to do it like that. But now I also want to go back again into my single post template in BricksBuilder and make a copy of that continue reading box here, because now we of course also need a call to action for purchase. So here, let's actually call it purchase access. Definitely not good copywriting, but well, this is premium content. Please purchase a subscription. And the sign up button, of course, has to go to the Lightroom Premium Access product from FluentCart. And then we also need to adjust the conditional logic here. So before we only showed that to users when he is logged out, but here you can now decide maybe that should only show up to users that are logged in and that have a certain user level, or you can also show it to logged out users. That's really up to you. So if you would only want to show that to users that are already logged in, but don't have the required level, then you would again go to matches required levels is, and then simply no. So now, for example, if we go to our John here and he would not have the premium member level, then it would look like that, purchase access. And of course now there's not the example content available now because we also have to adjust that, because here the conditional logic says show that only if a user is logged out. But in that case, I also want to show that when a user is logged in, but does not have the correct required level. So here I would simply select no. Okay, and now when we go here, you see now it appears again, and then you see purchase access, and you can click actually on that product here and then purchase it. But of course, our user did purchase the product before, so let's give him that premium member. Can leave free member on or not, it doesn't matter, but let's just turn it off, so because that's how the flow would actually be. And now you see he has access to the full content. So very easy setup, but now let's assume that FluentCart is not available and we want to do it via external webhooks. Now, why are external webhooks good, or incoming webhooks? That is simply because there are many providers, payment providers out there that describe themselves as merchant of records, and they are usually the payment providers that I prefer over just Stripe or PayPal or so, because they also handle all the tax stuff for you. Like, especially if you sell internationally, then you automatically have to deal with all that EU VAT, etc., where the VAT tax has to be submitted in the country of the customer, etc. And that's usually a big hassle, because then your system has to handle all of that, collect all the taxes correctly, and then once per quarter or so you have to remit all those taxes to like a one-stop shop in the EU and stuff. And I don't know anyone that actually wants to do that. And these merchant of records, they handle all of that for you. Now, such platforms are, for example, Lemon Squeezy. This is what I will show you here. There are also a few others. Gumroad handles that too. And I think CopeCard or so. Like, there are quite a few platforms that do that. In the German market, for example, Digistore24 does that. And now these platforms oftentimes offer webhooks directly, or they connect to Zapier. And then via Zapier, you can send a webhook to your BricksMembers website. Now, I prefer Lemon Squeezy because they don't require Zapier, etc. It also saves you a bit of money. And overall, like, it's very cheap actually, and it all works really good. They also offer subscriptions and stuff. So this is how Lemon Squeezy looks in the back end. And they have a test mode here where you can really test everything. That's pretty nice. So the first thing that you have to do with whatever provider you use is you have to create a product at your provider. So here I created already Lightroom Premium Access and set everything up here also with subscription, $19 per month. And I can like open that product already, or the checkout page of that product in the front end here from Lemon Squeezy. This is how it looks like. And now what you need to do is to set up a webhook. Webhooks sound complicated now, but it's actually very easy. So essentially what you do here, you go to BricksMembers, you go to integrations, and under integrations you find webhooks. And there you have all sorts of settings that you can match to your provider. Now for the most used providers, we offer presets here. So here I would simply select Lemon Squeezy, apply provider settings, okay. And now it's selected all the correct stuff here already. Like, this is the authentication method, etc. Now, if your provider is not listed here, then you just have to look up in their documentation what you have to select here, or you just open a support ticket and I will add a preset, because these presets are actually very easy to insert, because I can just essentially fetch the documentation automatically and it's all done. So that usually takes like 48 hours or less. And after selecting that preset here and apply provider settings, you just click Save Settings at first, and then you have this webhook URL here. So you just click copy, and now in this example in Lemon Squeezy, you just go to, no, it was here on the settings, webhooks, and there you already see I'm sending one webhook to another website. And this is important now. I can actually not do that here right now because this is a local installation, and of course webhooks don't work on local installations because it wouldn't know where to actually send it. But being on a local site is not actually a problem because you have this test webhook stuff here at the bottom where you have this paste webhook JSON payload, and this is exactly what we'll do now. So I will just trigger a fake payment here, test mode. So here in the lemon squeezy documentation you find test card numbers. So here we're testing it with this Visa card here. Okay, cool. Expiration date, I think you can select whatever is in the future. So let's just select 12/27, and I'll click pay. It's a test payment, of course. So now the order is done. And now I can look up in the in the lemon squeezy backend here under webhooks, and it shows me that webhook. So now I'll just copy that, go to BricksMembers, paste webhook JSON, load JSON, and now it automatically filled out all those webhook fields here. That's super cool. So even if you're on a local environment, you can totally test your webhooks. It's just that you should not use a local webhook URL here. That would not work. So you have to set that up here on the webhook URL again after the website is online somewhere. Of course, it can be in maintenance mode or so. That's totally fine. Yeah. Then click send test webhook here in the bottom right corner. Okay, and next up we're going to the webhook mappings tab, which is important because of course when a webhook is coming in, the logic from BricksMembers has to know what to do with that webhook, and this is what we set up here. And now most of the time is also very simple. Like here in that case, I just select the lemon squeezy preset, apply preset, click OK, and save settings. And then everything is essentially already set up for lemon squeezy or whatever provider you use here. But of course, you still have to do some manual setup. It's just not much, but I will explain everything, or maybe I will explain first to you what you have to set up after selecting a preset, and after that I will explain to you the whole logic, okay? So after selecting a preset, what you still have to do is to select enable user creation, updating, and update existing names. That is important because whenever a user does not exist, then of course you want the logic to create a new user after webhooks coming in and automatically assign the correct user level. And also when a user already exists, it should only be updated with the correct user level and eventually also with new names coming from the webhook in case it's only signed up with the email, right? And this is what these two checkboxes do here. So just activate them, they're good. And then if you select the preset already, you have to go down here to user level mapping. And there you find our created user levels, so free member and premium member. Now, because we only apply premium member user level whenever we have a sale, we only want to fill out that here. So to do that, you have the last received webhook data here on the right side. And if you scroll down, you see all the fields and values. So here we're having the product name, Lightroom Premium Access, a product from Lemon Squeezy. And we also have a product ID here, an actual product ID. Now you could use any of those numbers. It does not matter. The only thing that you have to use here is the an actual unique identifier of that product, because it needs to know, hey, if someone purchased this product, then I should assign this user level here, premium member. And now by default in a Lemon Squeezy preset, this field here is data attributes product name or data attributes first order product name. So we're making it easy here instead of doing all this ID stuff, because in Lemon Squeezy it's very easy to just use product names. That's why we're doing that there. You can also have variant names in Lemon Squeezy if you set up a product with a variant or multiple variants. In that case, you need to fill out both fields here, product or price ID and variant ID. In that case, it's also just variant name, not ID or so. So here, I will now only choose this one, Lightroom Premium Access, and paste that in here. So that is important, that you have an actual unique identifier like the product name or product ID or price ID or whatever when you're in Stripe. and also variant ID if you have variants. Just paste that in here, and that these are actually values of one of those fields that are set up here. Like you can also set up multiple fields here, comma separated. Like I could, for example, also now use the, let's say, product ID here. So I could use data attributes product ID, chirp, copy that, paste it in here. And then I could totally just use that product ID here instead of that product name. So it both works. However, I don't want to do that now. We're just leaving it as the preset does. And then click Save Settings. And when you chose such a preset here, this is all you have to do. Like you literally just look up in this user level webhook field here, what fields you can use from that webhook. Put that value in here, that matching one, done. That's literally all. Now the logic now is okay. Premium member level is mapped to this product. And whenever someone purchases this product and the webhook from that purchase comes in, bam, the premium member level is automatically applied to that user. Now, how that works in detail is that it matches the user by email. That's why also this user email field here is important. Anyway, we'll come later to that. There's one more thing that you have to do even when you selected a preset here, when you have subscriptions, you have to select the level changes here for subscriptions. So here I would select premium member, that the logic knows that premium member here is a subscription user level. Now selecting the correct user level or user levels actually here under subscription level changes is really important, because let's say you have a subscription with multiple subscription levels, let's say premium member and elite member for different kinds of content. And on the same site, you eventually also have products that are not subscription, that you sell for lifetime prices. It's all combined, it's all mixed. Then let's say a user purchases one digital product for a lifetime price and then also a course for a subscription. Then maybe in the future he wants to switch a level up to the elite subscription from premium. Then the logic would have to remove the existing subscription level and apply the new subscription level, right? The elite level, and remove the premium level before. Now if the logic does not know what of those levels are subscription levels, it would simply remove all user levels and apply the new subscription level. That would mean that the user would lose access to the digital product that he purchased before for a lifetime price. So that's why it's important here, especially if you have mixed user levels that are for subscriptions and also for non-subscription products, that you select the subscription user levels here that belong all to the same subscription. Otherwise, your users might get problems there. So this is what this is there for. So whenever you have a subscription, just only select the user levels here that are for subscriptions, and the rest will automatically be handled by BricksMembers. Billing sync here, you can completely leave that out here for now. This is like some advanced stuff for whenever you use the payments module. But now let me also explain that to you in a bit more detail, how exactly that works. So essentially, you know, WordPress users usually are matched via email. That's why we have the email field here. This is also like one of those fields here, data attributes user email. So you have that field, and then it takes whatever value comes from that field here as email. So there's the user email. Then you also have fields for first and last name. Not every provider sends those. That's why here they're actually empty, because Lemon Squeezy does not send first name and last name. Instead, what Lemon Squeezy does is it sends a username field only, where, as you can see here, the username field on the right side, that says my name, Pascal Basel. Now what we're doing here is you can put this field in the full name field together with a delimiter. In that case, that's just a space here, because there's a space between, where is it? Here, my first name and my last name. And now what the logic automatically does is it splits the name. So it will fill out the first name field automatically from the first part of the full name field, and the last name automatically also from that field. And it will also build the user name in WordPress automatically from those. And if you want to have some advanced user role updates, then update controls, then you can activate that here. There you can, for example, update a role for existing users as well, so that, for example, if a user exists already as a subscriber and you want him to move up to maybe premium member here, then you can enable that. Usually makes sense. And of course, you can also reset the user role when all levels are removed. There, for example, if you enable that, then you can set them back to subscribers. So let's save that. And then user level mapping, we just had that already. Just look up any of those fields here, comma separated, and put in the values here between product and variant. And action events here, that is also important to know because the logic, of course, needs to know what the webhook was for. And that is what this event key field is for. So here you see meta event name. Let's see where that is. Oh, here at the bottom, we have meta event name, and there it says subscription created. And now this is important here because Lemon Squeeze in that example sends different event names for depending on what happened. For example, if you purchased a product, if you started a subscription, or if you canceled a subscription, or a subscription is expired or something like that. Of course, the logic needs to know those events because then it knows if it should add or remove a user level. So this is the key that comes in here. And here under add to user level, remove from user level, and change user level, you put in the values from that field. So here, for example, in add to user level, you see order created and subscription created. So currently a subscription has been created because someone purchased a subscription product. That means that the logic will add the premium member user level because the event subscription created was triggered and premium member is mapped to this product. So it should add this user level here. Then it would be exactly the same if an order is created, again, comma separated here, all the events. And then, of course, it might also remove a user level in the future. For example, if an order got refunded, then, of course, the user should not have access anymore, so the user level is removed. Same for subscription canceled. Subscription canceled, it is in a preset here. But maybe you don't want that. If you don't want that, because what we discussed already in the FluentCart part, subscription canceled and expired are two different things. Usually you only want expired and not canceled, because expired means that there's actually the subscription over, while canceled can mean that the user still has days left. So here I would also go for canceled. So also if you use the preset, check whatever you want there and delete what you don't want. And then subscription payment failed can of course also be during a subscription. If a payment failed, then the user maybe should also not have access anymore. If the user should still have access until the subscription is finally expired, you can also remove that here. But generally you want to leave that in. And change user level in case he wants to update the subscription, that is subscription updated. So these are all the events here. Actually easy to understand, like just the event name, and then depending on the name, the logic will do different things depending on what you mapped here. Yeah, we had subscription level changes already, and again, like billing sync, you can completely forget that for now. This is for something else. So this is all you have to know when it comes to incoming webhooks for payments. I know it looks difficult at first, but it's actually, if you understand it one time how it works, it's actually super easy. It's essentially just mapping the right fields here. And now, of course, we can also test that, and you don't even need to go online for that. So under webhooks, I can now just click send test webhook. Okay, it says test webhook sent successfully. And when we now click on users, you see there's a new user created now, which is called support because of the first part of the support email. Just took it from the email there. For username creation, there are like several ways how it does it automatically depending on what's available. And we can also see here that the premium user level has automatically been applied because that was all that data that we set up before in the webhook here. Now, of course, before you push your site live, you should of course do live in maintenance mode, put the proper webhook URL into your provider and do a proper test run without that send test webhook stuff, because only then you know for sure that everything works, because maybe you set up something wrong with the URL there or in your provider or something. But generally, if you're in a local environment, you can just use a send test webhook here, and then at least you know that everything here in webhook mapping is correctly set up, and you just have to ensure that you set up everything correctly when it's online with your provider here when it comes to the URL. That is literally everything. And now there's a bit more I wanted to show you. At first, what I mentioned in the beginning was that you can also now customize the emails when someone signs up or purchases or so. And so for that, we go to modules, and under modules, we have the email integration somewhere. It's here. So emails, enable module, click on configure. You also see that we have emails now under communication here. And now what you can do is you can simply create a new template. Like for example, you can select create from starter, and then you can select one here. What could we say? WordPress login details, for example. That makes sense now. Create template. Here we have our email designer. You can literally do whatever you want here. You can even put in images here, like you have blocks available where you can select an image, for example. Then of course select the proper image here and stuff. I won't do that now, we'll remove that again. But you see, like, this is powerful. Now here, for example, you could customize that now with some custom text. Right here, for example, welcome to Lightroom. Thanks for signing up. Here are your login details. Double point. Then maybe give it a divider. Okay, maybe another divider. We can duplicate that. Actually, not login details. Like we could say here, you can set your password. Okay, simple styling for now, but as mentioned, like you can literally design that however you want. We even have columns here, sections and stuff, so you can have background colors and so on. So it's a really powerful builder actually. So click save, and then you go back to emails here, and now we have the template. You can, by the way, also in that template, you can create components that you would find here, for example, for footers and for headers of your emails that you want to reuse all the time across your communication. And now we're going to WordPress emails here. And now when it comes to, for example, new user, you can select here default WordPress email, or we can just select WordPress login details. Save mappings, cool. Now what you see here now, it says mapped but inactive, enable catch all wrapper in settings. So here under settings, we have to go to the catch all wrapper and select that. That's to activate WordPress email overrides and apply mapped templates, because otherwise WordPress would just continue its own stuff. And so now if we reload that, it says mapped. It's important that it gives you the warning here so you don't forget that. And as you can see here, you can set up more emails, like for new users to admin, password reset, password changed, email changed, and comment notification, comment moderation. It's super powerful here, and even not just that, and even that is just for WordPress emails. You can even go further if you click on the automations tab here. Like there we have an automations builder. There you can select a trigger, for example, a BricksMembers event. Let's say, for example, access is granted to a certain user level, then action, send email. You can even like connect email providers here like kit.com or something like that. Or you can of course also use our own emails like here. So of course I wouldn't send him the WordPress login details, but you see how it works here. Like I select that template, can also edit that template directly from here. Can override the subject, select all sorts of dynamic data, email type, transactional, marketing. That's important because when people sign off from your marketing emails, they might still want to receive the transactional emails for like signing in, signing out, canceling a subscription and stuff, that they get notifications, because this is not marketing. So this is also like handled by BricksMembers. That will be shown in a later video, but essentially people also have the option through Bricks forms to sign off from marketing emails, and you can control here what a marketing email is and what not. And you have some more options here that are a bit less important for now, might be important for specific cases. And by the way, these automations also allow you to essentially connect BricksMembers with pretty much every WordPress plugin. So essentially how you do that is you go to modules, and then under modules you find, where is that? No, I think it's in integrations. Yep, sorry. Under integrations, there's action triggers. You enable that. And then when you go back to automations, in the builder, under trigger, you can also now select WordPress or plugin action. And now we have presets here from WooCommerce, Fluent CRM, MailerPress, Bricks, BRM, or custom hooks. Custom hook is now a preset, of course. So if you select custom hook, then you can literally put in every WordPress hook from any plugin here. And whenever that is triggered, you can define what action should be taken, like an email send, you can apply a user level, you can remove a user level. So lots of options there. That's why, like, even if you worry if BricksMembers integrates with any plugin that you use that you might want to use on your membership site, you most likely can, just because of that. So much about emails and automations. There are two more things that I want to show you which can be important for a relatively simple membership site like that. And that is, at first, that you might want to restrict menu items, and also you might want to create an account page and show some content that the user has access to. So I would say let's start with the menu. Again, for menu, I would go to modules here, because there we have the, where is it? The menu visibility module here. So let's turn that on. And now if I go to appearance and menus here in WordPress, we have the primary menu here, and there you can already see we have the login. But now maybe you don't want to show the login to users anymore that are logged in already. In that case, here under visibility from BricksMembers, you can click show if logged out, save menu. And of course, if a user is logged in, you might want to have a log out button there. So you just go to custom links, URL, WP login and log out, and then you write log out. And now in the front end, when I'm logged in, you see that it shows me log out instead of logged in. That's how easy you can create that. And now I've been also talking about the account page. So let's set up that too. We actually have one here already, but I think that was auto-generated from FluentCart. So yeah, let's remove that here and add it with Bricks. And of course in the menu, you also want to set that up. So I select account here. Always show only if logged in. And now also, like, what I want to show here with the menus, you can also show or hide menus if a user has certain levels. So when I select that, save menu, and go back in here again, then you see required user levels, free member or premium member. Then you can also only show it or hide it if a user has a certain level. That can sometimes also be quite useful. But in that example here, I only want to show the account when a user is logged in. So let's save that. Now on the account page here, I also want to be lazy, so I just paste all that standard content and remove everything I don't need. Then I change the headline to account. Let's just call it your space. Okay, we also don't need pagination. Insert a block. And now it's time for query loops. Now I only want to show the content that the user has access to. So at first I want to give him a heading. Let's say here premium content. I will add free content later because that will be very easy. And now let's insert another block. And in this block, I want to have another block. Let's call it post grid. And there, let's call it post outer. And inside that, I want to have an image element and a heading. Yeah, I think a heading is enough. Yeah, I don't need more. Okay, cool. So now on that post outer, I want to place a query loop. Query type posts, post type post. And so now I essentially want to query loop through all the content that the user has access to, but not more. So here I leave everything as it is. There's literally no reason to change anything. Maybe you can change the posts per page if you want to, but we can also add a button for that. It really doesn't matter. Now, when you go back here, you see, because we're having a query loop turned on, BricksMembers, and then you have matches required levels. So if I now say match, then it will only show me the content, like the posts, that have at least one user level that matches the user level of him. Then of course in heading, you have to put in the post title. Image should be featured image, and then let's see how that looks in the front end. I can't actually see anything. This is because my user, the admin user, I think does not have any user levels applied. Yes, correct. So of course that doesn't work. So here I'll just only select premium member now. And now if I go to account in the front end, there we see already how it looks. Now we would also see that soon in the builder. Here, of course, it doesn't look good. I want it to be a grid, as I also called it. Okay, so now I styled it a bit, and I would say that's looking pretty good. What's of course still missing is the links. I forgot that. So here, link to, we need dynamic data and post. Is it link? Dynamic data and post link. And now you see it's all linked. Now the user can see all the premium content. Maybe premium content is not really correct because it's all content that the user has access to. So maybe let's call that your content. Yeah, that makes more sense. So this is how you can then set up a simple account page here. There are more features when it comes to account pages, like here in BricksMembers. Under modules, you also have the member profiles module. There you can essentially create all sorts of custom fields for members, and we're also enhancing the Bricks forms and giving you some elements so that users can completely edit or manage their own profile from their account page. If you're looking into functionalities of BricksMembers, we also have this little icon here at the bottom in Bricks Builder. If you click on that, you see this view here where you find all the dynamic tags that are available currently based on the modules you activated. So there you always find quickly what dynamic tags you can use here. And if you click on templates, you also find all sorts of templates here. Also for account pages, we, for example, as mentioned, have those settings here already available. So lots of stuff. And you can just copy JSON here or paste it to Bricks. You can also have some settings here that are automatically done in those templates. So whenever you want to get started with some features quickly, refer to this assistant here. The BRM templates, they are very powerful. And yeah, so this is how you set up a relatively simple membership site with BricksMembers. In the next tutorial, I will show you how you can sell digital products through a site like that, because we also have a digital products module where your links and your files are actually protected. Like, they don't appear in Google search. No one can share the links without being logged in and having access to certain downloads, etc. So this would be a kind of next step for a site like that. And after this tutorial, I will also show you how to build a full LMS site out of a blog like that. So where you sell online courses and all of that stuff. And after that, in upcoming tutorials, I will also show you how to create full communities and even forums later. So a lot of content coming up soon that shows you how all of that works with Bricks Builder and BricksMembers. So if you haven't done yet, subscribe. And if you have any questions or so, feel free to ask me here in the comments directly or via the contact page on BricksMembers.com. Or also, if you purchase BricksMembers already, of course, via a support ticket. The support is actually very, very quick and helpful. Usually things are resolved within 24 to 48 hours. And if you're not a BricksMembers user yet, you will find a link to BricksMembers.com in the description below, where you find this plugin. By the way, it might be called Atomic Members in the future, because as mentioned in the beginning, we are changing our name soon for all those mentioned reasons there. So yeah, in the future, it might be Atomic Members.